and good evening. My name is Inbaal. I'm a psychic, tarot reader, and witch, and I welcome you to Psychic Development with Inbaal right here on the Bigfoot Outlaw Network. We are a YouTube channel and a podcast that covers everything that has to do with esotericism. If it's a little bit weird, we probably have it. So we've got psychic programs, we have UFO programs, we have Bigfoot stuff, ghost hunts, psychic cold cases, and what you stumbled onto tonight is my little psychic development show where I talk about different aspects of the psychic world, how to make yourself more psychic, how to incorporate that into your life. I have a little topic that I'd like for us to go into, but before that, let me explain to you how to get involved. If you'd like to see a message on the screen, just like this message, I'm going to flash up a message so you see what it looks like. Just like this message here from a little twisted that says, hello, beautiful souls. Greetings, Inbaal. Good to see you. Mwah, good to see you too. If you want to have your message here, then just type it wherever you're seeing us. So at the moment, we're on 4 Facebook channels. We're broadcasting live on LinkedIn, 2 YouTube channels, and 1 Twitch channel. So if you see us on any of those and you put a message down below, then you'll be able to see us. For example, do you see how a little twisted icon has a little YouTube icon inside it? That means that's a message from YouTube. Whereas this, a message from Grizzly Chris, our boss, is from Facebook. He says, you can support me by sending stars. Stars help me earn money to make more content. That is very, very important. So if you're able to send stars, go right ahead. We also have a message from Mark, who says, good evening, Inbaal. Don't forget to press like, folks, so you know when Inbaal and others from this series of channels are on. And good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Mark. So you might not be able to see each other's messages because Twisted is messaging underneath the Bigfoot Outlaw YouTube channel, YouTube broadcast, and Mark is messaging underneath mine, Inbaal Psychic YouTube broadcast, but you can meet each other on the screen. Today, this evening, I want to talk to you about alternative life hacks. Alternative life hacks, meaning how do you step out into the world fully as you are without worrying about what other people might say, without worrying about how you might be perceived as strange and unusual? How do you allow yourself to follow your hobbies, your dreams, your desires, and living fully authentically as your true self? I'm going to share some of the little things that I do, and I'd love for you to share some of the little things that you do in order to be able to be fully yourself, tip off your environment so that they know that you are not a usual person, not a huge usual being. So that's something that I'd love to chat to you about. Judy Greenfield says hello. Kathy says hello to everyone. Mark says, I was just looking at my astrology diary I have, and there are lots of retrogrades this coming week. I know this isn't the show for it. Oh, no, but it is. He says, but wow, this coming week is an Aquarian is going to be testing. Love it, because, yes, we've got 2 big retrogrades, a few other small ones, but 2 very decisive retrogrades. So a few days ago, maybe a week and a half ago, Venus, planet of love in astrology, started turning retrograde in Aries. If you're in Aries, it means that you're a special someone or your friend that you do stuff with is less available, less communicative, less excited. It's not them, it's the stars, it's the planets playing a little trick on you. And then last Saturday, Mercury, planet of communication, has turned backwards. So that planet is going retrograde. Also in Aries, what are the odds? And so, especially for Aries, if you find that your phone's not working, your laptop is being funny, your internet connection is a bit on the fritz, that is Mercury. So yes, that is correct. A couple of pretty prominent retrogrades. Kathy says, hello, Inbaal, little Twisted. Twisted is greeting Kathy. Sandy says, hi, Inbaal, Ostara, blessings. Blessings to you too. We're coming towards the equinox any day now. 3 more days to go. We're coming towards the spring equinox, the day of equal light and dark. This equinox will happen smack bang in the middle of those 2 retrogrades. So even though it's such an exciting event when the new astrological year is born, when the new nature year is born, right in the middle of the retrograde, so it's not really easy. Roger says, howdy everyone, be sure to hit the like button. Right, you're hearing? Hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, make sure you support us. With every message that you send, makes the algorithm believe that we are churning out quality content, and and then it loves us. Lola Nicole says, yoo-hoo everyone. I'm flashing out the messages where you're greeting each other, and we're going to get stuck into our topic very, very shortly. I'm putting all the greetings up on the screen. You can see that lots of messages have come through. Thank you. The more messages you send, the more exciting it is. Right. So Mark is getting stuck into the topic immediately. The topic is, how do you live as your full authentic self? How do you allow yourself to be in full bloom and, and not worry about how other people might respond to it? And Mark says, darling, I'm Aquarius. We just don't care. He goes, I literally laughed at that. You know me so well. So no, I'm me and I don't care what others think about me. So yeah, does anybody else share that? Does anybody else walk out with, for example, like your crystals on, or if you're a little bit gothy, or if you're a little bit alternative, do you let your alternative self go out there? Or maybe you have to tone it down for work, or maybe you feel safer if you tone it down a little bit. I will say that me as myself, I feel like just in terms of aesthetics, I go with all the different looks. So in a way, I would never suggest for anyone to hide themselves or hide how they like to present themselves. Hi, Sabrina. Because I wouldn't. Because if I feel excited about sort of being quite a gothy presenting or quite a crystal presenting person, I would just go with it. But I'm quite flexible, so that at times I would prefer to maybe go for a different aesthetic, like all the pinkiness I've got going on right now, but it won't be because I try to hide. I'm perfectly happy sort of doing the school run in a black choker and pigtails, for example. So we're going to talk about alternative life hacks, how to allow yourself to be fully alternative and still, live on Earth. So Sandy has got the best hack, honestly, the best hack ever, saying a pentagram on my key ring. A key ring is such a great hack, because with a key ring, you can go, fully nuts. You can go as nuts as possible. I used to have a Hecate key ring, and that was really at a time that I couldn't pursue the witchy stuff so much when the children were very, very small, and it was more like, milk and blood. This is hiya to the mums here. You know what it's like for a little while. It's all like milk and blood. And that was sort of one way to connect with who I actually was. And in a way, now it's kind of flipped over, because now I'm very witchy. In the rest of my life, I've reclaimed myself. I've reclaimed my work. I'm very, very sort of out and open. But now I have a key ring that says, mama. so now that is like my little smaller part of the identity, not smaller part of the identity, but smaller part of the aesthetic. But I love the key ring as an idea. Sabrina says, I wear my crystal necklace and bracelets every day. I don't care what people think. Do you feel that the not caring is something that some people are kind of brought up with? Is the not caring something that you grow into? Did you all used to care a little bit more maybe when you were younger? I know that I was personally quite, like, you wouldn't believe it, but I was quite cautious when I was younger. I was not wanting to draw too much attention to myself, because I was scared of criticism back then as a young one. Mark says, didn't notice you were here, Sabrina. Hey, hope that you're okay. Roger says, Lona, yeah, it's actually a word. It's used here in the mountains of eastern Kentucky quite often. I'm dying to know what the word is. Sabrina and Mark greeting each other. And Mark says, well, the things I wear, from my necklace to my ring, who missed that? Carry my tarot, although they are smaller now, yippee, and of course have my red 7 type bracelet. I was actually wanting to touch on exactly that. If you have a handbag, easy life. And if you have pockets, almost as easy, but carrying something even hidden, even secret, that is connected to your identity, I feel that it can be really, really empowering. So Mark's example of carrying the tarot is exactly the example that I was thinking about originally. And when I was a young witchling, I have lots of memories today. When I was a young witchling, I used to carry not just a pack of tarot, but it was in this really heavy wooden box. I don't know what I was thinking. This really heavy wooden box. And it was at the time, if you remember the 90s, it was a time of oversized bags. And I used to have huge turquoise oversized bag that would go over my shoulder. And, it would take forever to find like my diary in there, and like my wallet. And then one of the things I would bump into was this sort of really hard, thick wooden box with tarot cards in there. And it was, such a huge bag. It was kind of my little secret. If I needed tarot, which I didn't really that often, but when I needed tarot, it was, it was right there. And one time I was going to get into a club with a friend of mine. And he didn't have a bag. He got sort of patted down. And then they're like, can we search your bag? I was like, sure. And the bouncer, the security, really thought he caught a big fish in his net, because he got my wooden box out and he said, I've only known this kind of box to hold one type of thing. And he opened it fully waiting to find illegal stuff in there, and he did not find it. What he saw was a box of tarot, and his face, he was like, open the box, and his face was like, huh? What is that? Are you some sort of witch? I was like, I am. Yes. And he closed the box and put it very politely back into my bag and never made eye contact with me again. And really, sort of life hack number 2 is that the more open you are about about being like your fully authentic self, especially if you're a witchy, but also if you are any kind of identity. The more open you are, the more people will kind of let themselves out. People who are frightened of the unusual, people who find the unusual to be, distasteful, will just get out of your life. And that is honestly for the better. So earlier, I was asking whether people used to care more, what people said about them when they were younger. And Sabrina says, oh yeah, the Cancer in me, Cancer star sign, cared a lot. I grew up with a strict family. It was over time that I started to not care. I think part of it is, is age and experience. As you grow up, you realize that most people have bigger problems in their lives. They're not looking to drag you down, and they're not looking at what you're doing all the time. They are leading their own lives and you lead yours. So you start to feel a little bit safer. It's also something that you can train yourself to not care. So if you are, already a full grown up and you still feel that you care what people think about you, I think that it really helps to sort of get into it and do the what if, what if, what if, what if. So what if this person noticed my crystals? Well, then you say to yourself, they might know that I am a bit alternative. And then you keep going, what if they knew I was kind of alternative? And then you answer to yourself, like, what's the worst case scenario? Let's say they would laugh at me. And so what if they laughed at you? What would happen? Well, I might feel a little bit uncomfortable or friendless. And then what would happen if you feel, and do you see what I mean? Kind of work your way around before you understand that really, if somebody doesn't like your choices and approve the way that you run your life, it has no bearing on you at all. It's super unlikely to change your life at all. Other people don't have that much of a bearing on how you're going to lead your life. So we've got Mark saying, hold on, Val. It still takes you ages to find things in your bag. It's really true. Although now it's not because of that box. Yeah, that box is not there anymore. I have a much smaller handbag now. It's still kind of big, but much smaller. But I do carry a lot of stuff. So I've got a wallet, love my wallet. I've got a diary, love my diary. I don't carry tarot cards anymore, and I barely carry any makeup. So what have I got there? I've got like a bag of got a bag of crayons, got a bag of pens. It's a real mum thing. Lots of tissues, so that I'm preparing to be a grandmother one day. Hair clips, hair ties, little hairbrush, different types of like on-the-go medications, some plasters, and then a bag with 2 dark lipsticks, a bag with 3 light lipsticks. So yeah, I suppose there is a lot there. So yeah, it takes me forever to find anything in the bag. Sabrina says, I carry my tarot cards in my car every day. Yes, having a car to leave your things into is, in my view, such a bonus, because a car is like, it's like the little house, isn't it? That's when you leave the things that are like the most important to you, that are a little bit not exactly right for leaving out in the house all the time, but they're kind of fine in the car. Twisted says, Lorna, it's a playful word here. I'm just messing with you. Oh, I'd love to scroll back and figure out what word everybody's talking about, but I don't think I can do it while still sort of keeping the show going. Mark says, Sabrina, Sometimes that's good. I mean, as we grow older, we tend not to care about opinions compared to when we're really young, with family influence or friends influence, etc. And Lorna Nicole, and I don't even know if that's part of the conversation of the bad word or part of the conversation of the alternative life hacks. Lorna says, nothing worse than going in a huff and no one noticing. Ooh, okay. That's something like, I don't have the full context, but I like the look of it. It says, Lorna, I forgot to tell you that the Nessie Center in Facebook was hiring Nessie hunters. Thoughts about you. Great example. Do people know that you're a Nessist? Do people know that that is an interest for you? Or is it something that is simpler to keep maybe conveniently hidden? Mark says, well, the worst that happens is that they disown you. But let's be honest, they're true friends. They won't disown you. And there are 7 billion people on this planet. So they're loss. Yes, that's very, very true. I feel like in a way it's a privilege that I've always felt really confident to live exactly as I am and to be very upfront about any interests or, directional path that I wanted to take. And that is thanks to having very accepting parents, very loving family. And so if I needed to be anything or do anything, it would have been accepted, sometimes grudgingly, but it would have been accepted. So for me, let's think of another alternative life hack. Probably the best, most important hack when you're alternative for me is community. Being surrounded by like-minded people, the value of it cannot be overstated. It's part of what I enjoy about this channel so much, that even if my hobbies and your hobbies are slightly different, my interests and your interests are not like identical, but we meet in that sort of intersection of freak, where my stuff is kind of quirky and definitely alternative, and all of your stuff is also kind of quirky and definitely alternative. Back when I lived in London and got interested in all the tarot and witchcraft and all those kind of things, totally by chance I fell into a whole community that was back then called the London pagan scene. It's possible that it's still called that. And the more or less the same people would meet for a talks group on a Monday, a different talks group on a Tuesday, a different the same talks group from the Monday would also meet on the Wednesday. Sometimes there'd be like a pub dinner on the Thursday, and then there would be some rituals, not every Friday, but some. And so having that community around was incredible to me, because I fell into this kind of life really totally by chance. And I didn't know anybody else who was interested, didn't know anybody else who was a witch. So it was spectacular to be able to go shopping, for velvet cloaks, people who are also interested in that, to go, and study with people in their houses, to go and look at books, to go and look at museums with people who had the same kind of interests. Having a community was phenomenal. And then I left London and I came to Yorkshire, and the community was a lot more separate. Like, there were some rituals, I found some rituals, but everybody knew everybody. They were kind of small. People had their own friends. And then when I discovered social media, 20 years after everybody else, I discovered social media only 6 years ago. But the most incredible thing for me was having this community, initially on Instagram, and then I have a presence on Facebook, but and I'm in a few groups there, but I don't really understand them. But that helped me kind of wrap myself around with a cloak of a community, and that was really, really comforting and very affirming for me. So if I could share sort of my biggest alternative life hack, if you're an alternative person, is find a community, surround yourself with like-minded people. We've got some messages. Issa says, evening, Issa, how are you? Mark says, I can't avoid it. I mean, some of my friends are your friends, etc. And of course, some of both ours separately are not friends. But the ones I'm actually mutual friends with, I am me. I know that for you, Mark, even in situations where being your full self could go against you, you still insist on being your full self. And I think that is just spectacular and very Aquarian. Sabrina says, very true. I'm comfortable in my skin, which is important to me. I couldn't agree more. If friends and family are sincere, they will be accepting. We have a few greetings here, and a message from Mark, who says, the hardest situation I had was when certain people came and knocking, and I have a massive pentagram on my wall and witchy books on my shelves. They left quite quickly. That made me happy. Sometimes people will come in or approach you, and they will find the witchy stuff scary. That is when you know that the pentagram is working. It's doing its job. The pentagram is a symbol of protection. Your crystals are there for protection. They're there to keep you safe. So if narrow-minded, closed-minded people come into your life and want to judge you for it, the pentagram's very job is in removing those people from your life. And and it sounds like it's working. It sounds like whatever you were doing, if you're saging it, if you are crystalling it, it was doing its job beautifully. And yeah, Twisted says, great defense, Mark. Mark says, well, if I wasn't me, I don't know what I would do. I expect everyone to be themselves. I will always be myself. Yeah, it's hard sometimes. Hey, so is life. Do you know, Mark, I think when you're like a fully authentic person, it gets really confusing when other people aren't. Do you know what I mean? So if somebody pretends to be a certain way, I'd still believe them. I'd still believe them because I think, well, why would you lie? Why would you lie? It takes as much energy to tell the truth as to tell a lie. Why would you confuse yourself? Issa says, I came in midway in conversation, but I feel like I relate a lot because I moved to the UK entirely on my own a year ago, 1 year ago. The people I got on with the most are from a culture research group. Right, exactly. Do you know, that's actually a really good point because I came to the UK in 1994. Possibly when you were born, possibly before you were born. I came to the UK in 1994, and for the first few years, I had no British friends at all. I was friends with people I worked with, more or less. I was friends with people I lived with in like a hostel situation, and it was all people from Romania, Poland, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, all over the world, but really know some French, some Belgian, I want to say Serbia, but that's not correct. Bulgaria. But I had no British friends at all. And I used to think that was sort of really odd. Was something about me? And then when I encountered the pagan scene, that's when I had so many British acquaintances and so many people who were kind of local, but the contact, the point of contact that we had was in this kind of alternative community. Nigel says, hi, everyone. He says, how are you doing today? And he says, I'm doing half and half. Thank you. I hope we can make things a little bit more fun for you by sharing together. Mark goes, mentioning crystals, I have them in every room, at least 5 in each room, except maybe the toilet. Yeah, I was mentioning how I'm not a big crystal shopper, so I've got a few on the wall there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say about 7. I've got a few on the window there, and then like a big one on the computer. And actually, there's a few in the box there, but that is it. So I certainly do not have one in every room. In my bedroom, the only one I have is selenite, and my daughter's bedroom selenite, because it's very good for protection in your sleep and for sort of helping you to sleep well. It's kind of uplifting while being relaxing or being soothing at the same time. But I don't have that many, although I did get from my husband for my birthday a little aquamarine in silver. And he was like, oh, is it a crystal that you like? And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't really like the blue color, but it is a soothing crystal, so I can really get on board with that. Mark says, so true, dearest Inbaal, about the truth. So darn true, but some will still try. The thing is, we tend to cut through the rubbish. Interestingly, I think for some people, lying is just kind of more, comforting. Some people enjoy the fantasy aspect of lying. For me, it would be like too confusing because like I said, I'm Pisces. I would just believe it. Jaylee sweetly says, I don't have any friends. You have a community. You have a community. And I think the kind of society that we're in right now, where a lot of friendships are overseas, people that you maybe haven't met, people that you might never meet, they are still a support network. And so I think it's possible that now communities, online communities, are slowly edging away friendships, because we don't have friendships, like in Seinfeld episodes anymore, where, I'm going to go pick up my dry cleaning. Do you want to come with me? That kind of friendships. Less so. But all of us sharing a really interesting conversation for an hour on a Tuesday, I think that's very like friendship. Twisted says, me either, Chaylee. And then Twisted says to Chaylee, YouTube friends from afar. I think so. I think it is meaningful. Kim is here, greeting everyone. Good to see you. Chaylee says, it's kind of sad sometimes. I tell myself to suck it up. I think being powerful about it and being fearless about it, it's wonderful. And of course, you mustn't let it break you. But also, if you feel that it's something in your life that you would like to change, then stepping up and changing it is also a wonderful idea. And since we're talking about alternative life hacks tonight, then, maybe all the alternative people can suggest alternative ways of how to surround yourself with more friendships. I love the online world for it giving us pretty easy access to like-minded people. That's the job of the hashtag. So hashtag that can get you connected with people who also like hashtag astrology, hashtag tarot, getting into a community, either in the comments on YouTube, like what we're doing now, or in a Facebook group, or in a silent WhatsApp group. I think it gives us more options in sharing our lives and sharing our ideas. Lorna says, it's part of life, I think, Shaylee. Friends fade away. Life happens. It takes huge effort to keep in touch with people you no longer see every day or week. I think it's really, really true. And in the times between like leaving where I'm from and getting getting WhatsApp on my phone, the person who I see as my best friend, we would go more than a year without exchanging a word. And I still see her as my best friend, even though it might be like a childish way to look at it. But when we do catch up about once a year, then it's as if no time has passed, as if, you know, that friendship is as firm as it always was. But having those sort of long gaps is, you know, exactly like Lorna says, it is a part of life. Kim says aquamarine is my stone. It's working really, really well. It is very, very soothing. Shaylee says, I heard amethyst for you. That, yeah, so amethyst is very, very me. If you meant for me, that is very, very true. Twisted is chatting, Shaylee is chatting. Mark says, oh, Shaylee, bless you. They will come to you at the right time. I really agree with that. I think divine timing is really important. And in knowing that this is what you have in your life right now, because this is what is the correct, you know, environmental makeup for your life right now. But when things change for you, then things will change also around you. Twisted says, so true, Inbaal. Laura Nicole says, I don't know how or when it happened, but I don't want to be about anyone constantly or on a very regular basis. Yeah, friendships are kind of hard work as well, aren't they? Mark says, yeah, the online world can do that, but it's also a very dangerous place as well, especially when it works while it does. So, yeah, it's really true. And I think it's important to not get sort of too sucked into the online world. Crystals are very good in helping you kind of stay a little on the fringes. The soothing crystals, even like the dreamy crystals that can help kind of unsuck you out of it. Kim says you probably got really hurt, Lorna. And Lorna says, I can't think of a particular moment, Kim. Mark says, similar to how I see you and Bon, sometimes we have long gaps, but that is a good thing. Yeah, sometimes long that we don't want for them to be long. But yeah, it's still, the friendship is still there. Isa says, I don't know anyone yet I could consider close, but I still try to enjoy going to gigs solo. It's adventurous and the spirit of the universe card. I do like sort of doing things alone. I really, really agree with that. I used to have this thing when I first sort of started traveling, that I would feel uncomfortable eating alone, like eating alone out, ordering food. And so if I needed to eat alone, which was a lot because I traveled alone, I would get like a supermarket thing, like a supermarket bread roll, little cheese, and just sort of eat it outside of the supermarket. It kept me fed. And I was chatting about it to a French girl who was also traveling alone. And she was very exuberant and had a really strong accent, which I'm not going to copy. And she said, really? I love eating alone. I will sit in a restaurant, order my dinner, sit there with a book, think my thoughts, maybe talk to other people. And I was so inspired by it that now, like one of, maybe not a hobby, what I would consider as a pastime that I really enjoy is sitting in a coffee shop totally by myself. Sitting in a coffee shop with my coffee, maybe a croissant if I was good, and just being there and not owing my conversation to anybody and not thinking, oh, the waiter is judging me, or people are sort of thinking, why is she there by herself? Kim says, when the time is right, the right friend will come into your life. Shaylee says, I did, yes, for you, Amethyst. So that was actually exactly the other half of the conversation. So so my husband got me this aquamarine, and he said that he saw that it was a Pisces stone because I'm Pisces. And I said, I don't really like the blue color. I'm not a very blue person, but I like the qualities. And, if you say it's a Pisces stone, I'll go with it. And he said, oh, what stone do you see as Pisces? And I said, amethyst. But the lists of crystals, if we're being really, 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 really real, the lists of crystals and stones for the star signs in the first instance were created for months. So it would be like the January birthstone, the February birthstone, and were really sort of only applied to star signs a little later on. And when month stones or birthstones were created, they were created by jewelers in order to sell more jewelry. Do you know what I mean? So 100% in how I believe that the different crystals do have a bearing on the different star signs, but I think that we have like a lot of open permission to pick the star sign that kind of resonates with you. So we have several birthday announcements. So let me scroll. So Kim says my birthday was yesterday. Shaylee says my birthday was Sunday. And my birthday was Saturday. So all of us together. Shaylee says Pisces power. I love that. So yeah, all the amethyst crew. So yeah, Shaylee, what do you see as kind of your personal Pisces stone? And Shirley says, I will go weeks without seeing another person. I do need to work on changing that. Do you feel like maybe there is a phobic aspect? Is it scary for you to sort of go out and stroll around other people? Because if there is a phobia there, then that's a completely different situation. Mark says it wasn't a phobia, was it? No, that French friend who said how much she loved sort of eating out, that was somebody I met sort of still in the 90s. I didn't know of phobia until like 2004. No, it was a girl who, when I worked and lived in Eos, Greece, she was there very briefly. I don't think, did she work? I don't remember if she worked there or not, but she was there. And at the time, she was the only Black girl on the island. So she was like super popular and everybody wanted to be her friend. Like I said, she was sort of really exuberant, had this really strong accent. She's just come back from living in Germany for a year. So she would sort of chat to the German people like in their language. She was such a whirlwind of excitement, and she was like, oh no, I love sitting in a restaurant by myself, it's great. So yeah, it wasn't a phobia. I don't remember this girl's name, unfortunately. Mark says, my birthstone, of course, I have it in my pocket along with bloodstone and hematite. Bloodstone for the obvious. I think hematite as well. Hematite is so fabulous for, for keeping you cleansed, for keeping you clean. We've got some happy birthdays coming in for the birthday crew. Wonderful. Yay, all the Pisces. I'm flashing up all the birthdays in the comments. And Jaylee says thank you. And Kim says thank you. Kim asks, do you go out, Shaylee? Mark says, oh, shoot, happy birthday for T and L for tomorrow. I think it is. No, T and L today. So 2 of my children's birthdays are today. And one of my children had his birthday with me on Saturday. Jaylee says, I mean, since COVID, I have unfortunately started leaving my house, hating leaving my house because I got so used to being there by myself, but I'm never worried about being anywhere alone. I go to concerts by myself often. That, you know what? That takes a lot of personal strength. That takes a lot of personal power. And that, I think, is very, very beautiful alternative life hack. Have you got hobbies? Have you got sort of places you want to go to that nobody else wants to go to? Go alone. You will never be bored with a company. You want to have some intelligent company? Go with yourself. So she says, so yes and no, it has become an issue in the mental. Yes. Yeah, I get that. And Kim says, do you go out every day, like for walks or shopping? And you see, Shaylee, I could never go to a concert by myself. That's it, especially Pisces, right? I think that's such a Pisces thing that we don't want to be caught by ourselves. I don't know that I've ever gone to the movies by myself, but I would. Have I gone to plays or shows by myself? I can't really remember. Certainly when the kids are on stage. When the kids are on stage, I am there in the audience. And Kim says, so we know you're brave. We do know you're brave. You sound pretty fearless. And I think you have the self-awareness to see that this is becoming kind of a thing on the mental and that you hate leaving your place. And it's cool and absolutely no judgment. But if you feel like it stops you from living the life that you want to live, you get out there. Mark says, oops, I apologize. I knew it was too soon. I almost put today and then changed it. And Sabrina says, I love going to the movies by myself. Do you think that may have changed like since mum life? Because I feel like I value my time alone so much more as a mother. Not that I don't enjoy the company of my children. They are fabulous. I do have very hilarious children, really loud. But in the early days of motherhood, the baby is with you all the time. All the time. You open your eyes in the morning, baby's there. You open your eyes in the middle of the night because baby is screaming. You're having a shower. You can see the baby through the glass in their little bouncer. You're driving in the car. You can see the baby in the car seat in the back. So the baby's with you all the time. And I think for me, that really developed an appreciation of just being alone, of just sort of being, in the drugstore, looking at what it says on like all the boxes and nobody sort of tugging at your skirt. It's incredible. So Shaylee says, no, it's been over a month since I've left here. See, thank you. I just figured it was normal, I guess. I don't care what people think. It's the best gift I gave myself. That is incredible. The not caring is so important. And, I don't want you to think that I'm like cutting myself out of society or anything, because it's not that you don't care about people, right? Just don't care if people want to judge you. And I think that's exactly the right response to judgment. You say, so you have opinions about me? Go and scream them into the wind. Please, go ahead. Be my guest. Go right ahead. And I think that's the best thing to do with it. Sabrina says, I went on a road trip by myself this past December. I wanted and needed to be by the water. It felt peaceful and gave me some much needed calmness. I love that. I love the water. And doing something for yourself and giving yourself that space to just be, that space to just sort of fully experience your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own dreams is an incredible gift. Kim says, I would try to make it a goal to go out every few days, even just for a walk to see birds and squirrels or whatever, or read outside. You need vitamin D for mental health. I'm pretty sure you need vitamin D for physical health as well. I think it strengthens your bones, right? It works something with iron. I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure vitamin D is something that you need to just sort of keep yourself together. Sabrina says, oh, I would go to the movies on my own even before I had my daughter. Oh, that's so incredible. I really, really look up to that because that took me a while. And it's crazy because I have traveled by myself, I've gone on planes by myself. I've gone to, to get a bed in a hostel by myself. But going to the movies for some reason was kind of difficult. And sitting in coffee shops by myself was kind of difficult for a little while. Chelly says, I always figured, why care what strangers think anyways? They are irrelevant and I most likely will never see them again anyways. You know what? I really wish I was musical so that I could put music to this. But instead of putting music to this, what I'm going to do is flash it on the screen. I'm going to flash, 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 because that is such a winning sentiment. Why care what strangers think? Anyways, they're irrelevant and I most likely will never see them again. Anyways, I wish I was musical and I could set that to music. I love it. Mark says, we have to not care sometimes in life in order to survive because there are so many people who judge you. Fact is that those who judge usually have some serious issues themselves. Psychology 101. Yeah, it's true. Nigel says, to everyone, sometimes I forget to tell you I love you as a friend. Thank you so very much for being in my life. You're so very special to me in my heart. Sending you lots of love and hugs on your way. Take care of yourself, please. Thank you, Nigel. That was really incredible. That's a really wonderful message. Kim says, Sabrina, we know you're brave too. Charlie says, when my son was a newborn, I had severe PTSD from the passing away of my firstborn child. And I made a point of taking 10 to 20 minutes to myself almost daily, working on refinishing a dresser, a coffee. Oh, I'm so sorry you had such a difficult experience, etc. I wish nothing more than to have my son wanting all my attention all the time. His dad took him when he was 2 and I've not seen him since, and he had just turned 9. If I can pray for something with all of my heart, is that you have a way to become part of his life again. And I can see at least 2 people, and I'm not naming names, but I can see at least 2 people that are in the comments right now who are also shut out of their children's lives. You're definitely not alone. And I'm praying, but kind of in a witchy way. May the universe, may all the spirits, may all the gods and goddesses find a way to bring you back together with the fruit of your loins. For you, Chaley, and I saw a comment that I want to flash up from Kim, who says, "You've had trauma, Chaley, and I'm so sorry for that. My wish is for you to find someone to talk to who understands what you've been through. You can do it." We're nearly finishing, but Kim says, "May Chaley find and have peace forever. Peace and joy and love forever." Mark is starting to fluff up his pillows and shake his duvet. I think I saw Crystal come in, right? But yeah, as we're finishing, oh, there we go. Chaley, Skylar, Liam, lots of love. Lots of love for Skylar, lots of love for Liam. As we're finishing, I really want to give you lots and lots of gratitude, lots and lots of thanks for opening up with me and for finding safety in each other. Mark says, "I will break cover and say, I'm one, Chaley. Mine's not a secret. Just keep safe when he is old enough to understand." And Crystal says, sending so much love for you to see your child. Chaley says, "We are warriors, queens, ladies. Remind myself that everything happened for a reason. Everything. Sometimes we just don't understand why. We must continue to live. This is the challenge." But yeah, a trauma like that, Kim is exactly right. A trauma like that, it's a joy that you survived it at all. It's enough to break anybody. So the potentially agoraphobia that you're experiencing, or just this disinclination to leave your own space, is really not outside of the realms of, of the normal. Thank you so much. I had such an amazing time with everybody. I really enjoyed spending this time with you and hearing from you. I'm going to be here again next Tuesday with a different topic, hopefully with all the same lovely people. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful week.